Good evening, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the webinar Driving Innovation Through Smart Problem Solving Strategies. Please note that this is a recorded webinar and you can avail this recording from us by filling the Google form, which will be shared across during the webinar in your chat. So, before we get started with the webinar, I would like to introduce our speaker, Dr. Pradeep S. He is having 20 years of experience in capacity building, project management, marketing, and strategic management. Dr. Pradeep has established a strong reputation as a result oriented professional as well, recognized by both corporate and government clients. As a hands on change agent, he has successfully transformed underperforming organization into efficient, top producing team. A dynamic communicator and a respected leader, Dr. Pradeep is highly regarded for designing and managing training and development programs with a stakeholder focused and client driven approach. We are delighted to have Dr. Pradeep with us today to share his valuable insights and expertise. Welcome, Dr. Pradeep.
Yeah. So thanks, Renu, for setting up the contest and the wonderful introduction. So very good afternoon or good evening. So from India, it is good evening. So how is the weather there? Okay, in my place. Okay, so it is a lot of rain. Okay, a lot of cold climate. Okay, with a lot of breeze. Okay, so I'm very excited to have a small discussion on a very interesting subject and very relevant subject, which is creative problem solving and different kind of approaches we need to solve the different kind of approaches for the creative problem solving. So my humble request is, so we will have a discussion. So take it as a discussion rather than having a monologue or rather than having a broadcasting. So when you have a discussion mode of engagement, okay, that will be very fruitful for both of us, right? Okay. So now my association with the innovation and journey, because started some 20 years back. So I'm associated with a couple of organizations. So currently I'm associated with an organization which is into manufacturing of electronics products as well as into the software services. So we have a strong research and development. We try to bring up some new products and innovation in the market. So I thought that, okay, I will share some of my experience in building the innovation and the creative culture in the organization, how it is, why it is relevant. So I have a small presentation to be shared. And meanwhile, okay, my humble request is please respond to my questions either through chat or through the messages. Okay. So let me share the screen. So basically, as I discussed earlier, okay, we will have small discussion. Okay, try to think about a few use cases where innovation and creativity is extensively used. Okay, let me start with one question. Okay, now a lot of discussion is going on regarding innovation, creativity. Now assume that you are working in an organization or you are running in a business. Okay, now can you tell me, okay, why innovation is very critical for organization as well as for business also? Either you can put on the chat or unmute your mic. If you talk about any organization or any professionals, okay, most of the people talk about innovation, critical thinking. So can you just think or can you just tell me why innovation is so critical for the organization? Yeah, Selma, very good. Okay, to gain competitive advantage. Now, currently, the market is very competitive. How you able to bring differentiation in the market to remain relevant? Obviously, okay, your competitors are making a lot of changes in the product. You need to make sure that you are relevant to adapt to the market changes. Yeah, somewhat related to what Philip was saying. Okay, so market is changing, customers' taste and preferences are changing. So adapt to the market changes. Good. Thanks for your great response. Okay, I really love these three responses. Maybe let me take it through it. Yeah. So one is the world is full of problems, right? So 5 years back, one of our major problem faced by the world is the pandemic. So that pandemic actually disrupted the way the business is doing, okay, the way people communicate, the way people work also, right? So we thought that that will be one of our major problem in the world. And thankfully for the invention of vaccines, okay, we were able to tame the vaccines. However, okay, there are other set of problems also came into the world, right? Okay, so we had a different geopolitical issues. We had an then Russia, Ukraine war. Okay, then we had the Israel-Palestine conflicts. Okay, then US, Iran, Israeli conflict. A lot of conflicts are there. Okay, and now Trump is coming into the picture. Okay, now there's the world business is also under a lot of turmoil. So we feel that, okay, we when we solve one problem, okay, that is itself, okay, we solved that, and then now we understood there are a set of new set of problems also coming. So this is like a perennial process. So one Albert Einstein said that we cannot solve the problem with the same thinking we used when we created them. So we need to have a different kind of mindset, or we need to have a different kind of thinking, okay, in order to solve the problems, which sometimes we are not able to foresee also. Now, second is the world is now we can call it as VUCA or okay, BANI. Okay, there are a lot of acronyms are there. Okay, so typically now the business is thriving on something called VUCA environment. What do you mean VUCA environment? The business is highly volatile, right? Okay, so suddenly the business scenario get changed, right? Okay. Now one war can actually, for example, look at when the conflict between Israel and Iran was there. Okay, so world over, okay, there was a fear because the Iran is handling the sea routes in the world. Okay, so it can actually lead to surge in the oil prices. Okay, so it is very volatile, right? A small incident, and it is highly related also, can actually makes the market very volatile. Now, uncertainty. Okay, so there is almost a similarity between uncertain and ambiguous, but there is a difference is there. So what is uncertainty? So uncertainty means you don't have a data and you don't know the outcome also. So once the pandemic hit, okay, we don't know how the virus is going to behave in a human body. So the only solution at that point of time was, okay, the lockdown, right? Now what do you mean ambiguous? You have the data, but the insight from the data is not very clear. Okay, even though we tame the virus through vaccines, okay, now this virus is having a lot of mutation. We are still find it very difficult to what are the side effects of the coronavirus. Okay, now complex. The business scenario becomes very complex. Okay, due to the technological advancements, due to the change in taste and preference of the customers also. Now, the third one is as somebody was rightly responding. Okay, okay. I mean, the responding to the customer's choice and concept of value. The customers are always actually looking for new kind of features in their product, and the concept of value is also getting changed. Okay, so they are looking for a new kind of value proposition. So how do you respond to the new kind of expectations of the customers? So that leads to a very important concept called product life cycle. Okay. So have you heard about something? You might be heard about something called product life cycle, right? So product life cycle is almost similar to the human life cycle, right? So when it comes to the humans, we born as an infant, okay, then move to the childhood, to the teenage, to the middle age, to the old age, to the death, right? Similarly, when a product is launched in the market, it also go through something called a product life cycle. So what does a product life cycle means? So there are four stages. Basically, we talk about something called introduction, then the growth, maturity, and decline. So if it is actually put into a graph, the vertical axis talks about sales and horizontal axis talks about the time. So you can see that, okay, initially when a product is launched, okay, in the introduction stage, sales is less because, the customers may not be aware about the product, or some customers are not willing to take a risk on the new kind of products. And after the customers know about a particular product, there will be a lot of growth, and there will be sudden surge in the growth. And after some time, there will get something called maturity. So maturity is a stage where there is a plateau in the sales. Okay, there you cannot see any kind of growth, and slowly it start declining also. So normally company do something called product extension. They make some modification in the product so that they can extend the life of the product, right? So this is very common in a lot of automobile models, right? So they do some kind of changes on every 3 and 4 years. So that will bring a fresh kind of feeling of that particular product to the customers. Now, so this product extension can be organic. So organic in the sense you are making some changes in the product, and inorganic means, okay, it is not very, you are trying to make some really disruptive way of having a growth. So one example is when Facebook, okay, when it was launched, okay, it was a market leader for some point of time. But after that, okay, they faced competition from companies like Instagram and WhatsApp. So what they did was they acquired both WhatsApp and Instagram for a huge amount of money. But that strategy actually helped the Facebook to remain competitive, or Meta to remain competitive in the social media market. Now, so you may be knowing this case study, right? Now you have seen, okay, in Nokia, there are two models, the classic models, okay, 2100 and 3100. So just think, okay, how many millions of units being sold, okay? And Nokia was the market leader for almost 15 years. But what happened to the Nokia? They didn't adapt to the changing needs of the customers. The customers were looking for better operating systems. Customers were looking for new kind of features. So Nokia felt that as far as they produce a new product, okay, that people will buy it. So when Nokia was closing down, Nokia CEO said that we didn't do anything wrong, but somehow we lost. Now the challenge for the company is the product life cycle is getting shorter and shorter. Okay. Earlier, the companies like Apple used to launch one or two models every year. Now they are forced to launch multiple models in a year because the customer expectations are changing at a very faster pace, and customer expectation on a value of a product also getting changed very faster. So this leads to another problem for the company, okay, or the organization, because since customer expectations are changing very fast, so it depends upon the capability of the organization how they can able to cater to the changing needs of the customers at a very faster pace. So they cannot simply remain waiting for changes. Okay, they have to take proactive steps and bring out these changes as early as possible. The Honda, okay, Honda used to take around 5 years to develop a new car in 1980s, okay, but they were able to reduce the time to 3 years in 1990s, and they are able to produce multiple models currently. And the HP, okay, which they used to take around 4.5 years to make a new printer. Okay, now they take only less than 2 months to make new printer. So the challenge for the company is twofold. So one is the product life cycle is getting shorter. Now, how fast you can diffuse innovation, or how fast you can come out with a new product in the future in the market. So that is one need for the innovation and creativity. So I just want to share one slide. Okay, this you may be heard about these two company. Okay, obviously Google you may be know. Obviously, there's no question of knowing about Google, but you might be heard about Tata Consultancy Service. It is a top 10 IT services company in the world. Okay, it is based out of India. Now, if you talk about certain important metrics like, okay, number of employees, okay, Google is having around 1.8 lakhs and TCS is having 6 lakhs. The market capitalization, I mean, the total wealth of the Google is 1.7 trillion. It is much, much higher than a TCS. Annual revenue is 324 billion. It is almost 15 times that of a TCS. The revenue per employee is 1.78 million US dollars, whereas TCS it is 47,000 US dollars. Okay. Now, can you please let me know what is the fundamental difference between these two companies? Okay. Basically, these two companies are basically a technology companies. But what is the fundamental difference between these two companies, Google and Tata Consultancy Services? What is the fundamental difference in the business model? Which company is better? Is it Google or TCS? When it comes to the efficiency, which company is better? Yeah, Philip, thanks. Obviously, it is Google. Okay, yeah, I can see a lot of responses. But now, can you think about what is the fundamental business model difference? Okay. Now, the fundamental business model difference between these two companies is Google is a product company and TCS is a services company. Okay. And when you have a product company, the possibility of wealth maximization is unlimited. Okay. And when you are in a services company, especially in the IT, okay, your growth, your annual revenue, profitability is always constrained by the client budgets. Okay. Now, if you talk about the world's most valuable companies, for example, which is the largest, valuable company in the world? Which is the most valuable company in the world? Put on the chat. Maybe you can mention which are the most valuable companies in the world.
Apple.
Apple. Good, Martin. Thank you. Coca-Cola. I can see Coca-Cola. Okay. So as for the latest statistics, NVIDIA, okay, you may be heard about NVIDIA, right? Okay, they are into the semiconductor business. They are the largest, okay, they are the biggest company with the market capitalization. Okay. Now, if you talk about top 10 companies or top 220 companies in the world, okay, all these companies are product companies. They are not into the services companies. Okay. Now, that is the role of innovation. Okay, for example, who is the largest car manufacturer in the world? It is Toyota, right? But when it comes to the most valuable car manufacturer in the world, it is Tesla. Okay, Tesla sells 1/10 of what Toyota sells. But what differentiates Tesla? So Tesla is differentiated with a new technology, lot of innovation, and they are bringing out a high quality products. Okay. So gone are the days you can think about just numbers. Now, how far you are able to deliver value, and customer are ready to pay the price for the value also. So that shows the importance of being innovation in the market. Okay, if you are able to bring more innovation, you can maximize wealth. Now, NVIDIA, if you talk about the market capitalization of NVIDIA, it is as equivalent to the GDP of a country like India. So they have amassed so much of wealth because of their innovation and because of their new inventions. Okay. So let us come to the specific topic. So as we discussing about around innovation. So these three words, which is very familiar, right? It looks almost similar. But what is the difference between these three words? Creativity, invention, and innovation. What is the difference between these three words? Creativity, invention, and innovation. It looks almost similar, but there is major differences there. Creativity, invention, and innovation.
I might be wrong, but
Okay.
just trying. I think creativity, you might be dealing with something that is existing.
Mm-hmm.
So you might want to improve it and to become creative.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And probably invention,
Mm-hmm.
invention and innovation. I think there's a relationship there, but I think it's like you are coming up with something which is not of existence, and
Okay.
you want to come and put it in the market,
Okay.
something like
Okay.
that. Yes.
Yeah. Fine. Good. Thanks, Martin. Good attempt. Maybe I'll explain in a little bit more. So creativity is more about abstract. Okay, it is generating new and valuable ideas. You are trying to think about a new solution, but it is not practically converted into a product or a solution. It is more in the mind. Okay. So we all think about a lot of ideas, but when it comes to converting these ideas into a product or into execution, okay, it requires a lot of persistence, hard work, and research, right? So only few people go to the next stages. Now, what is invention? It is create something entirely new for the first time. So you are inventing some new products or new kind of process, new kind of solution. Now, what do you mean innovation? So innovation is process of turning this creative idea, so invention, to practical and valuable solution. You are trying to address a problem of a society. You are trying to address the problem of a particular user or a customer. So that is innovation. So converting a creativity and invention to innovation is not very easily. Okay, if you want to bring innovation, you should understand what is the expectation of the customer, what are the needs of the customer, what are the pains of the customers, what are the frustrations of the customers, what are the hopes of the customers. So it's actually a deep, we need to really deep dive into the to understand the customer needs. Okay, and you try to put the technology and you try to put the different kind of solution to solve the problems of the customers. Now the target of innovation is expanding. Okay, it is not only for the product, it is to the services, operations. Okay, people are exploring new ways of operations, even management also, right? Okay, new kind of decision making, new kind of competencies. So the targets of innovation are expanding at a faster pace. So when this comes to innovation, we can divide innovations into different categories. Maybe can you just think what can be the different kinds of innovation? What can be the different kinds of innovation? So innovation can be categorized into different segments. Okay, what can be the different segments of innovation? Just think, maybe you can put on the chat also, no issues. Okay, so innovation can be categorized into 4 major segments. One is called product innovation. So what do you mean product innovation? You are making significant changes in the technical specification and components of a product, right? For example, okay, earlier, okay, we used to, when it's come for communication, we used to have a pager or a land phones, okay, but we made a lot of changes in the product called mobile, okay, which the primary form of communication is through the waves, right? Okay, so this transform the communication, this makes the communication very easier also. So that's a product innovation. So process innovation, you are making significant changes in the manufacturing process or a delivery of the product. So that brings a lot of value to the customers. So marketing innovation, you are trying to implement new methods, okay, significant, it can be making a significant changes in the packaging or design of the product or the quality of the product, which help us to gain the market share. So organizational innovation, you are making changes in the organizational structure, organization way of working. So that makes the organization more agile and competitive in the workplace. So let me explain a little bit about all these 4 kinds of innovation with some examples. Now, process innovation, okay. So there are few countries which become very richer because of the process innovation. Maybe I'll just share one example. Now, can you tell me which is the 5th largest economy in the world? 5th largest economy in the world. Which country is the 5th largest economy in the world? Who is the first one? Which country is the biggest economy in the world? There is no doubt, right? Which is the first biggest economy in the world?
Is it not US?
Yeah. Good. So the biggest one is US. Okay. The second biggest is, any guess which is the second biggest?
I think it's this person. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Sorry.
China. Okay.
No, it's okay.
Second biggest is the China. Okay. Now third one is actually Germany. Fourth one is actually India. Earlier, India was the 5th largest economy. Now it have overtaken Japan. Okay, now Japan is the 5th largest economy. Now, if you talk about Japan as a country, the Japan as a country have a lot of disadvantages, right? Okay. So what are the different disadvantages Japan as a country have? So few disadvantages. So one is Japan is a very small country with less natural resources. Now, second is Japan, they are prone to the natural calamities. So earthquakes and tsunamis is like almost like a daily affairs. Now, third one is Japan having even if you talk about geography of Japan, okay, the most of around 60 to 70% of Japanese geography is either mountainous or it consists of islands, which is not very suitable for agriculture, not very suitable for the industry. And now Japan having a highest life expectancy. So what is the implications on the economy? because when you have more old people, okay, there is less people who are actually deployed for a productive work, right? Okay. Now another barrier for Japanese companies is, okay, I mean, Japan is, they have a language barrier. They find it very difficult to communicate with other languages. Okay. Now after the Second World War, Japan was completely devastated, right? Okay. Now, despite all these disadvantages, Japan become one of the largest economy in the world. A small country become one of the largest economy in the world, one of the most powerful economies in the world. So can you tell me what can be the reason? So the reason is, yeah, I can see few chats. Innovation, good. Innovation. Okay, good. So to be very specific, they were able to bring something called the process innovation. Okay. Now, one classic example is one Japanese company, Toyota, right? So if you compare Toyota with Ford, General Motors, Mercedes-Benz, okay. So Toyota was fairly a new entrant compared to these companies. They started their operations around 1960s. Okay. Yeah, especially in the automobile sector. They were there, okay, before 1960s and before the Second World War. Okay. Now, after the Second World War, the Toyota, just like other Japanese companies, was almost bankrupt. Okay, so they had a lot of challenges. Okay, so they cannot afford the expensive mass production facilities. Okay, so US, they were focusing morely on the mass production. Okay, Ford always believe on mass production and massive economies of scale. Okay, so they are not able to maintain high inventory levels also. So these two people, okay, which is called okay, Taichi and Shigao, okay, they created something called, they innovated something called Toyota production system. Okay, so what do you mean by Toyota production system? Okay, so they came out with few concepts. Okay, for example, the one concept was just-in-time manufacturing. So what do you mean by just-in-time manufacturing? So it works backwards. Okay, whenever they find a demand from the customer, then only they start sourcing the raw materials, keeping the inventory on an optimal level, so that there's a lot of reduction in the cost. Okay. Also, they borrowed a lot of process which was actually originated in US but not implemented in US. For example, there are a lot of concepts like TKM, Six Sigma, TPM, okay, and they actually try to borrow this process. And they also had a lot of Japanese the traditional philosophies also implement. For example, there's something called Kaizen. Kaizen talks about daily improvement. You're making small improvements so that on a long-term basis, it will have a compounding effect. So they want to improve the efficiency, okay, by zero breakdowns, zero defects, zero delays, zero inventory, zero accidents, okay, and zero paperwork also. Okay, so this leads to something a massive, okay, upsurge of the Japanese company. They came out with the high quality products, okay, offering maximum value to the customers. So Japanese companies conquered the entire world, okay, through the high quality products because of the process innovation. Okay. Now, next is marketing innovation. So what do you mean marketing innovation? So as I said earlier, right, you make some changes in the product design or the packaging so that will improve the market share. So this is one innovation by a very famous, okay, cosmetic brand L'Oreal. Okay. So they came out with one app called Genius app, okay, where you can take the selfie, your own selfie, and this particular app will recommend what kind of products, okay, what kind of color, okay, what kind of cosmetics, okay, you would like to have. Okay, so this will help you to understand, okay, how when you use this particular color of a lipstick or a particular color of cosmetic, okay, how does your face looks like. Okay, so this also leads to a massive surge in the sales. So that is a marketing innovation. Now there's something called organizational innovation. So you make some changes in the organizational process, policies, and way of work that makes organization very competitive and very agile also. Okay. Now you heard about a company called McDonald's. Okay. So McDonald's, they don't have much hierarchies. Okay. So if you have an ideas, despite in which level of organization you are, you can share these ideas and you can discuss these ideas with anyone. So that leads to a lot of borrowing of ideas and most of these ideas also being implemented. Even Toyota also, they have that kind of philosophy. Okay, they actually borrow ideas from all people. Okay, they try to get the ideas from all people and try to implement it. So another example for organization innovation is Amazon. Okay, so one organizational policy for Amazon is all people, whether I'm working in finance or HR or legal department, okay, I have to work in the customer operations or customer success department for a week. Okay. Now, what is the advantage of this kind of policy? Because when you work with the end customer, okay, or when you work with the customer problems, okay, you will try to understand what is the major pain areas of the customers. So normally people working in the legal department or HR department, they are not able to clearly understand the end pain points of the customers. So whenever they devise a strategy, okay, they can, the core focus is to the customers. So Amazon is, if you talk about Amazon, all departments work towards centrally to solve the problems of the customer. It is a very customer-centric organization. Even the theme of the Amazon is the most customer-centric organization in the planet. Okay, now innovation. So we have seen 4 categories of innovation. So one is product innovation, one is process innovation, one is marketing innovation, and one is organizational innovation. Now innovation can again further subdivided into something called radical, incremental, disruptive, platform, open, and frugal. So we will discuss in brief what are these kind of innovation. So let us start with the first two, one radical and incremental innovation. So what is a radical innovation? You are making significant changes in the product. Okay. For example, earlier, okay, the mobiles had a touchpads, right? You have a QWERTY mobiles. Okay. But Apple actually launched something called touch mobile, right? So with one touch, okay, you can navigate the entire features. So that was a radical innovation. Now, what if the incremental innovation? You are making small changes in a product. For example, what is the difference between Apple 16 and Apple 16 Pro? So there is only a small changes in the camera quality, right? So this is what we call as an incremental innovation. Now, the next is disruptive innovations. What do you mean by disruptive innovation? So the disruptive innovation means some kind of innovation that actually transform an entire industry. Sometimes it displays an existing market leaders, okay, and change the way how a business is conducted. So this kind of innovation can lead to elimination of certain category of industry. I'm not talking about a company or a product. These kind of innovation actually eliminate a certain kind of industry altogether. Okay. So one classic example is Netflix. So when Netflix was launched, okay, so the bare business model was delivering DVDs and VCDs to the different homes in US. At that point of time, Blockbuster was the market leader. And after some time, Netflix understand that people are trying to use internet, okay, and most of the people are the popularity of internet is getting expanded. So they try to leverage internet for the entertainment. So they created something completely new. Okay, they created something called OTT. Okay, and they try to deliver content through these OTT platforms. On one sudden day, the Netflix actually stopped the traditional business model. And Blockbuster, they were the market leader. They didn't understand the changing needs of the customer, and they become bankrupt after some time. So now next one is something called platform innovation. So what do you mean by platform innovation? Okay. Now, if you remember when Facebook was launched, right, the primary objective of Facebook was to connect between people. Okay. If you have some friends, okay, you can connect with your friends, or if you want to connect with your old school friends or college friends, okay, you can search these people and try to connect, right? So later on, okay, Facebook actually implemented a lot of features which provide a new concept of value to the customers. So what are the different features later added by the Facebook? So they added something called okay, maybe you can post your videos. Okay, you can even market your product. You can post your live events. So there are a lot of features being added in that particular platform, so that the customer concept of value get enhanced. Okay, so another example is Google, right? Okay, when they launched Gmail, so the primary purpose was sending email from one person to another, but they added lot of features to that Gmail, right? So they added a lot of apps. For example, you can have a Gmeet, okay, you have a Google Docs, you have a Google Slides, okay, you have a Google Photos, couple of features being added so that the customer is getting more value. So that is what we call as platform innovation. Now, open innovation. So what do you mean open innovation? So when it comes to the innovation, okay, you need to have some kind of ideas, right, in order to bring out innovation. And when it comes to the sources of innovation, which person will be the best to give the sources? Which person is considered the best for the innovation? Is it customers? Is it the R&D people? Is it the sales managers? Is it the HR department? Is it finance? Okay. So the research say that the best source of information for innovation is customers. Why? Because the customers are the people who are actually facing the real pain points, right? So if you are able to leverage on the customer's information, okay, you are able to bring out a lot of innovation. So you might be heard about the company called IKEA, right? So IKEA is the leader in the furniture manufacturing. So what is speciality about IKEA? So IKEA is very famous for its design, okay, its user friendliness, its affordability, okay, and if you go to IKEA showroom, it is really great, okay, because you will see a lot of small product which solves our day-to-day life. Even we never thought, okay, these kind of small products can ease our life, okay. Now, when it comes to IKEA, how they are able to bring out a great product with a lot of user friendliness, with a great design, okay. They have something called IKEA community, where they constantly seek ideas from the customers. So there is a concept called customer co-creation, where your customer is also co-creating that particular product. So another example is Lego. Okay, so Lego is a toy manufacturer. They actively seek ideas from the kids to think about what kind of new toys they can bring out the market. So another example is Harley Davidson. Okay, the bike, right? Okay, they also seek ideas. They have a community. They also seek ideas. So when we engage with these kind of communities, you get a lot of information, okay, from the end customers. So next is frugal innovation. So what is a frugal innovation? So most of the time, the biggest challenge for the innovation is this comes with a higher cost, right? Whenever you are coming with an innovation, the cost will be very high. So that may not be very, the end customer have to pay a very higher price. Okay. Now, I'll just share one example. So recently, my mother bought a smartphone, okay, which is a very expensive smartphone, okay, because she was actually looking to take a high quality pictures and videos, and she want to connect with our family members, okay. She want to have a video call, okay. But if we actually really look about her usage, more 90% of the features of that particular mobile is not used by my mother. Now, why? And most of the features, okay, she find it very difficult to use also. Now she takes our helps to use other features. Now, can you think about one product which focus on the core expectation of the customers, which focus on the core functions, which is so that the complexity of the product and cost can be reduced. So that is what we call as a frugal innovation. So from an Indian context, I just share one example from an Indian context. Okay, around it has been estimated around 20 to 25% of the people from India is able to afford the refrigerators. Okay, now this guy, okay, he actually bring out a new innovation which is called the refrigerator, which is called Miti Cool. So this particular refrigerator is made out of clay technology. Yeah, traditionally our mother and grandmothers use clay pots for keeping the food, okay, without damaging, right? So he was using a clay kind of technology. So this keeps the food okay, without any damage for 2 to 3 days. So this costs 1/20th of a traditional refrigerator. Okay, so this is what we call as the frugal innovation. Now let us move forward. Yeah. So in short, we have seen 4 categories of innovation: product, process, marketing, and organizational innovation. Again, we have seen the further categories of innovation, We have seen radical, incremental, we have seen platform innovation, disruptive innovation, open innovation, and finally the frugal innovation. Now, next is, what are the key characteristics of innovation? Okay. So what are the key characteristics of innovation? One is novelty. Okay. The product should be highly differentiate from your competitor. It should be something unique. Then only you will be able to capture the attention of or grab the attention of the customers. The next is problem solving. So the innovation should lead to some kind of problem solving for the customers. The customer may have some kind of pain points. You should be able to solve the pain of that customers. Value creation. So what do you mean by value? So what is the difference between a price and value? Any idea what is the difference between price and value? So price is something what we pay for it. Value is the perceived benefits. Okay. For example, you heard about something called pacemaker, right? So pacemaker is an instrument used in patients which have a irregular heartbeat. Now, what is the price of a pacemaker? It is around, I mean, from Indian perspective, it comes around 4 lakhs Indian rupees. But what is the value? It is the life, right? Now, risk and uncertainty. So whenever there is an innovation, there is always a risk. Is there uncertainty there whether this product will be accepted by the end customers? And you should be always open to the continuous iterative improvement. Interdisciplinary. So innovation is completely interdisciplinary. So you need to understand the consumer psychology, you need to understand the finance, you need to understand the economics, you need to understand the analytics, you need to understand the technology. So it's like the interdisciplinary approach. Earlier, okay, the innovation was actually confined to an R&D department. Now it is an interdisciplinary. Impact, how much impact it can change, it can make on the end users. And the last one is the scalability, whether you will be able to scale this innovation in a larger space. So these are the few, the most innovative companies in the world. You can see the Tesla, okay, Apple, P&G, Amazon, and these are the companies which have one of the highest market capitalization. And if you talk about the wealth of these companies, these companies' wealth is okay much higher than the total GDP of many countries. As I said earlier, okay, Nvidia's wealth is as equivalent to the GDP of India. So this is a global innovation index. So these are the top 10 countries when it comes to the innovation, starting from Switzerland to US to Finland to Singapore to Korea. So this is a global innovation, okay, visual map. So this talks about innovations. Here you can see a lot of correlation between the prosperity of the nation and innovation. So the more innovative a country is, more prosperity or more economic advancements are there. Okay. So it's a high time, okay, the people who are in different organization, even the education, okay, we need to train the people on the innovation. So let me go to the last part of it. But even though we talk about innovation, what are the top barriers to innovation? One is sometimes some organization does not have a culture, okay, to embrace the risk, or there is a resistance to risk. Now, one of the major challenges when you try to think about a new product and services, it is very difficult to measure, okay, how does this product will fare in the market. And third, very important thing is people does not have the skill set to bring out new innovation in the market, limited technology, lack of budget. So it is being said that, okay, in Apple, okay, around 20% of the revenues is actually plowed back for the research and development. It is having a visual cycle, right? When you invest a lot of money into the R&D, you can come out with the new products. When you come out with the new products, the sales can increase. When you have more sales, it can again plow back to the research and development. Lack of innovation, even sometimes the leadership also does not focus on the innovation. So in short, okay, this is the characteristics of a great innovation. So one is the innovation should have a business viability. Okay, you should be able to bring some kind of revenue. The technological feasibility, the product should have a great technological feasibility and people should accept it. So these are the three these are the three important parameters for the innovation. And so in short, what we have seen is that, okay, innovation is very critical for the organizational success and personal success. So we have seen what is innovation, what is the difference between creativity, invention, and innovation. We have seen what are the four major categories of innovation. We also have seen, okay, what are the further subdivision of innovation. And we have seen, okay, what are the nature of, what is the characteristics of innovation. We also have seen, okay, what are the barriers to innovation. So the we need to get trained on innovation. So there is a lot of things like, how do you understand the customer requirements? How do you translate that requirements into the execution? There are a lot of tools being used. Okay, it is a lot of mindset needs to be applied. So we need to understand a lot of subjects if you want to bring out the innovation in the market. And the more innovative you are as a professional or as into the business, okay, the more probability of the success will be there. Okay. So with that, I think I will just conclude the session, and maybe I'll just pause for a second. So I would love to hear any questions from your side. You can either you ask questions in the chat, or you can unmute your mic and you can ask question also. Okay, thanks for your response. Okay. In line, okay, Lifasi was asking, in line with accounting and finance, are there possibilities coming with the new innovation? Great. Okay. So one thing I just want to say about accounting and finance, okay, there are a lot of human effort is involved in accounting and finance, right? Okay. Now, when it comes to the innovation, so one biggest challenge for innovation is to measuring the impact of innovation, right? Okay. So measuring the impact in the sense financial impact. So how much sales you can bring, how much profitability you can bring. So there are a lot of specific tools being used in finance to understand the impact of innovation. So these are very scientific tools, which is used by a lot of big organizations, and they try to understand the impact of this innovation in the market. I mean the financial impact. So that was a really good question. I really love that question, Lipase. Thanks for that question. Okay. Yeah, so Selma was asking about the frugal innovation. Good, thanks for asking that question. So frugal innovation is, so a lot of time we think that innovation involves a lot of implementation of high-end technology. That is wrong, okay? Maybe with small changes, you can bring a lot of innovation. We can provide a lot of value to the customer, okay? So maybe I'll just share one slide, okay, which will help you to understand, okay, about a frugal innovation. Just hold for a second. So this is one classic example, okay. When you talk about the MRI machines, okay, the MRI machines, the people who are getting diagnosed with MRI or CT scans, it is a very traumatic experience, because you will be alone in that particular room. Initially, you'll be asked to lie in a table-like structure. After some time, you'll be moved in a hole-like structure. There will be loud noises coming from this particular machine, okay? And normally, the loud noises are like gun noises. It will last for around 45 minutes, right? Now, it is traumatic for the adults. I have gone through the MRI scan. It is traumatic for the adults. And even you are not allowed to move your body also. Now, just imagine a situation if this MRI or CT scan needs to be done with a kid. So normally, what do doctors or radiographers do? They try to sedate the kids, right? Now, there was small innovation done by, okay, a person called Doug Dietz, who was a industrial designer working with the GE Healthcare. So he came out with a very frugal innovation. So this is the innovation. So what do you understand from this? He tried to change the environment into a theme park. Okay. So this does not require any huge technology, right? It is a very small change that made the what was the impact? So the impact was the children does not suffer any anxiety. Even the parents also does not suffer anxiety. So even the patient satisfaction scores went up by the 90%. So this is one classic example of frugal innovation. There is no requirement for the large scale implementation of the technology. A small change can make a lot of difference, where we try to understand, or we try to focus on the core function of a product. Okay. So thanks for that question, Selma. Any other question? So what I said about it, it is actually a glance of the deep subject. In fact, this needs a lot of understanding. It requires a lot of study of different subjects, different tools, techniques, and technology, because bringing out innovation is not very easy. And some countries, just like US and Switzerland, okay, their education is highly focused on innovation. They extensively train the people, even from the students, on this innovation. So that is why these countries are very prosperous also. Okay. So Sweli, how do I implement this as a max primary school teacher? Good. Okay. I was talking about this particular point. Okay. Maybe lot of countries where the education, okay, we focus more on something called rote learning, okay, where a particular syllabus is actually delivered and we ask the people to memorize some facts and figures. Okay. However, there are two kinds of thinking. One is the creative side and one is a critical side. Okay. So we should actually work on both sides, creative side and critical side. Okay. So we should always elevate the people from low order thinking. Okay. There is something called low order thinking, which talks about remembering and understanding, to move to the analysis, okay, even synthesis, and to the creativity. Okay. Even the course design or the examples which we share, we should leads to some kind of thought triggering process. Okay. Even the questions can also trigger the one's thought process. I think there are no further questions. Maybe I just hand it over to which ebook do you recommend to read about it? Okay, so when it comes to innovation, okay, I can recommend one book called The Hook. Okay, this is written by a person called Nir Eyal. Okay, which is a very famous book for product development and innovation. Yeah, so thanks for all your patient listening, and I'm just handing over to Renu.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Pradeep, for this wonderful session. And I guess your doubts are also being clear. And we would like to hear a feedback from you. So we have put the Google form. Please do fill in that. And if you wish to get a recording of the session as well, please do fill in the Google form. So before we wind up, we would like you to take to our MBA program called Design Thinking and Innovation, which is meant for all those aspirants who wish to be in this design thinking and innovation field, or who are holding a strategic position in the organization. This course is designed especially for you. So if you're interested in joining the course also, the MBA program, which is offered by the Spanish university called UCAM, please do fill in the Google form so that our advisors can reach you. So thank you once again, everyone, especially Dr. Pradeep, for being with us for this wonderful session.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you all.